Hey there, this is Jane Langen, and this is my proposal for advocating for equity in technology. This is Lanier High School in Gwinnett County. It has been open since 2011, and it's grown to house about 2,000 students. My process for identifying needs was pretty extreme. Um, I started by reviewing our LSPI goals. Like many other high schools, the focus is on graduation rate, college and career readiness, etc. So then my first question is, how are we using technology to reach these goals? So I went first to our local school technology coordinator. When I spoke with him, he talked about our recent one-to-one initiative. And while this is great, he couldn't really talk to me about how we were using this to reach our LSPI goals. And moreover, when I talked with him further about it, it really came across that the one-to-one initiative, this is an issue of equality, not equity. And so that was another thing that really came to mind. Next, I spoke with a group of our senior leaders during advisement time, which is it's like homeroom, but it's a little bit longer than that. I talked with them about our overarching goal of ensuring that students are college and career ready. I talked with them about the difference between equality, like the one-to-one, and equity. And I asked them if they could think of any instances of inequity in our use of technology to try to create college and career ready students. They had some really great responses, but the one that jumped out at me, really because it's in my wheelhouse, was a senior who said he was headed off to college, but he had never taken an online class. He had wanted to take the online senior language arts class that I offer, but he was not allowed to because he had no way of coming into school late or leaving early. The classes offered first and seventh periods for senior flexibility. So this, of course, led me to my assistant principal. She let me know that yes, students cannot, sorry about that, students cannot be in the building unsupervised during any class period, and they cannot just walk off campus because this is an issue as well. So they have to either be driven in or they have to have a car. And I thought this is definitely an issue of equity where we're using technology, but not all students have equal access to it. So this brought me to my big, albeit simple, solution. I needed to write a grant proposal that would allow equitable access to online language arts. So I had the idea, equitable access to online senior language arts, but how could I make it work? I needed to figure out the specifics of what was needed. Since I've already developed the online course and students already have a tablet or a notebook that is provided by the school, then I really just needed a place for seniors to be during first and seventh periods and a senior language arts teacher to supervise them. So I worked through the numbers, and to allow up to 70 students to take the class and two teachers to supervise them, one during seventh and one during first, with extended day pay, the total for the entire semester would only be $3,600. So I have written this up as a grant proposal that I will be submitting to the McDonald's Golden Grants of Greater Atlanta. And the awards for those, it has the top award of $20,000, a second of $10,000, and a third of $5,000. There are actually multiple, $10,000 awards and multiple $5,000 awards, but I believe only one $20,000 award. But I will be submitting to them. And next, how I have or will have or will, sorry, how I have or will advocate for equitable access to technology. So the first step is in asking questions. So by doing so, I really had to keep in mind the difference between equality and equity. And I think that is a major pitfall. So I'm really grateful that I have focused on the difference between those two. Next, I had to do the research. After reviewing our LSPI goals, talking to our local school technology coordinator, I found myself in the position of educating others on the difference between equality and equity and the importance of considering both. Then I moved on to the stakeholders, in this case, the students. This to me was critical. In talking with them, I realized that I was yet again explaining the difference between equality and equity. And just in spreading the word, I feel like I'm advocating for equitable access to technology. And talking to the students is what eventually helped me to realize that I was inadvertently the cause of some of the inequity, because I was the one who first created the online language arts course for our seniors, and my idea was to promote options for seniors. I never guessed that I would be the one to create an inequity insofar as students who didn't have transportation to be away from the school would miss out on the opportunity to take an online course before college. So the solution and my grant proposal is rather simple in that we can allow students equitable access to the online course if we can simply provide supervision during those periods, those 2 periods a day that it is offered. Next is the follow-up on the solution. Again, this is all about how I have or will advocate for equitable access. I'll be submitting the grant to the McDonald's Golden Grants of Greater Atlanta, but I'll also be following up with my administration. They agreed that I could apply for the grant and that if it was successful, that they would support me in seeking more regular funding from the school or the county for the endeavor. Truthfully, though, I think they're leaning towards supporting it through local school funding and our PTA grants. So either way, I'm very excited. This project really looks like it's moving forward. And then the final step for me, advocating for equitable access, is to start the process again. I've already spoken with my assistant principal about continuing to offer the online class to seniors in the building into following years. But we also plan to talk down the road about additional courses like economics, political systems, astronomy. More important than this, though, even, is a change in the process for identifying future needs and areas of technological inequity. Before the pandemic, we had a technology team, and I was part of that team, and we worked to focus on technology issues. So I spoke with my IP about bringing back that team, but also including students as part of that team. And finally, my reflection. Wow, this project was a really huge undertaking for me. The whole process in identifying where the needs were was one of the longest parts, and the research, it took a lot. But it taught me so much about being a good digital citizen. Truthfully, when I first considered the course in digital citizenship, I was thinking that so much of it would be about being safe online and making ethical decisions with technology. I just didn't realize how much of it is about advocacy. Just doing all the work that led up to the grant proposal was so time consuming, but in the process I was already advocating for digital equity for all of my student citizens. This may have been my first time writing a grant, and successful or not, it definitely will not be my last. Thank you.